Hey guys, it's Julia from Z Squared Crafts. Today is my last ever post with the Alleyway Stamps. This is kind of a sad end to what has been an absolutely phenomenal experience. The Alleyway Stamps is shutting its doors. They have some really great sales going on now, so definitely go ahead and check those out. So for my card today, I wanted to create something that was kind of elegant and sparkly, something really nice for winter, not necessarily just the holidays. So I'm using the Alleyway Stamps Winter Butterflies stamp set, and I am starting by inking up the four words that come in the set. I thought that it was kind of fun to space them by size, so the smallest one that says wish is on the top and the largest one that says sparkle is on the bottom. I'm stamping those onto craft cardstock. This is an A2 size card base, and I'm stamping them using Versamark ink so that I can heat emboss those with some superfine gold detail embossing powder. I prepped my surface with my homemade anti-static bag just to make sure that I would get the crispest impression that I could. For the next part, I laid down a piece of scrap paper underneath my surface because I knew I would be stamping off a little bit. I'm going to be using several of the snowflakes that come in that Winter's Butterfly stamp set, as well as some white pigment ink to stamp them all around the edge. As I normally do when I'm creating a pattern with stamps, I start with the largest stamps and then work down to the smallest to fill in the areas. I wanted to make sure that the greeting in the center still had enough focus, so I'm making sure to stamp these snowflakes off the edge so that there's plenty of space for that nice happy greeting. I'm using white pigment ink because I really like how the white pops on a darker cardstock, and as I'm stamping I'm wondering if it pops enough, so in the end I'll show you what I decide to do. But in the meantime, I'm just going to continue stamping these snowflakes using that white pigment ink. In case you aren't familiar with pigment ink, it's almost like using paint. It's a thicker ink than a dye ink, and it really sits on top of the surface of the paper as opposed to absorbing in. So you tend to get a lot more vibrant colors, especially when you're using them on dark cardstock. You just have to be careful when you're using pigment ink that you allow it plenty of time to dry. If you're in a rush, you could always zap it with your heat tool. In this case, I'll show you what I do to move the process along. I really love how each of the snowflakes that come in this Winter Butterflies stamp set is so unique. They are like real butterflies or snowflakes. Each one is unique and really beautiful. So as I was finishing up stamping these snowflakes, I decided that I needed to fill in the lower left corner there. I thought that it just needed a little bit more weight to it to balance out the rest of the card. But I was also really feeling like the white didn't pop as I had imagined it in my head, so I decided to pull out some white detail embossing powder and sprinkle that over all of my pigment stamping to really brighten up those snowflakes. The really great thing about pigment ink is that it stays wet, like I mentioned, for quite some time. So even though I had taken my time and hadn't really planned to do this step, all of the ink still worked to adhere down that embossing powder, and then I could go ahead and zap that with my heat tool so that I could get the bright white impression that I had been imagining in my head. Since I did layer on the white embossing powder, you don't need to use the white pigment ink underneath. I could have just continued to use my Versamark ink, but I didn't know that this was how the card was going to end up, so you could do it either way. It wouldn't make a difference. So to bring a little bit more of my gold in, I decided to use some gold enamel dots in various sizes. I really wanted to draw the eye from the top left corner down to the bottom right, so I am just kind of clustering those enamel dots to create that effect. I used gold just to pull in that gold from the greeting, and then at this point I was happy with my card, so I decided to call it a day. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for the ongoing support and encouragement that the Alleyway Stamps community has provided to me. It has been such an amazing experience working alongside designers that I so truly admire. If you have any questions and would like more information, go ahead and check out my blog or YouTube channel linked below. And that's it for me. Take care and have very Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye.